Hello, my name's Douglas Baldwin, and I recently wrote the cookbook Sous Vide for the Home Cook. It's the first sous vide cookbook designed for people to cook at home and not for restaurant chefs. Today I'm going to show you how I cook a chuck roast. A chuck roast is one of the tougher and least expensive cuts of meat, but is also one of the most flavorful. By cooking it two ways, one, medium rare for 24 hours at 130 degrees Fahrenheit, 55 degrees Celsius, or at a higher temperature to give a more well-done traditional style braise at 160 degrees for also 24 hours. Those, if you have my cookbook, are on page 53 and 57 respectively. So first I need to vacuum seal the meat. I place it in a food-safe vacuum pouch. The reason for vacuum sealing it is I want to keep the meat separated from the water. I remove the air so that the heat from the water bath can efficiently go into the meat. I fold over the edge so that when I seal it, the heat from the vacuum sealer can seal the bag properly. If there's too much liquid or water between the two layers when it seals, it may not seal properly and break open while you're cooking. So, this is a clamp-style vacuum sealer. There are also chamber-style vacuum sealers. For all the clamp-style vacuum sealers, they have a small area where you put the end of the bag in, as I've done here. And then you just press the vacuum seal button. Now that I've vacuum sealed the chuck roast, I'm going to place it in this metal rack. And then place the metal rack in my water bath that I've set to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 55 degrees Celsius. I'm covering the top of the bath with plastic wrap to keep evaporation at a minimum, because evaporation both lowers the level of the water and cools the water, which means that more electricity will have to go into heating the bath. There are two types of water baths I have shown here. One is the SousVide Supreme bath, which is uncirculated, but works very well and is much less expensive, at about $450. And here I have a laboratory-style immersion circulator that heats the water and circulates it, so it doesn't need its own bath. You can provide your own. I just have a plastic bath here, and it works fairly well. The difference between the two is that the immersion circulator heats the surface of the meat a little bit faster, but the core temperature rises about the same rate in both water baths, so it's really a personal choice. So I've cooked the two chuck roasts for 24 hours. This one I cooked at 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and when you cut open you'll find that's a nice medium rare. This one was cooked at a medium well done temperature of 160 degrees to give a more traditional pulled beef style meat. You can see when it's done by feeling the package. You'll feel that this has become very tender, as over here you can also feel that it has become very tender. Quite a bit of liquid comes out of the meat during the long cooking, and this is unavoidable. There's a slight green tinge which will completely disappear after searing it. So now I've drained the piece of beef cooked at 130 degrees, and now I'm going to blowtorch it to give it a nice mahogany finish. There are several types of blowtorches. My favorite is one made by Iwatani, and it uses butane, which is safe to use inside. So move the flame slowly over the meat until it gets the right color. So I've now finished searing the meat, and you can see that it has a nice mahogany color on the outside. Now I'll slice it open and you'll see how nice and pink it is on the inside. At first it won't look that pink. That's because it hasn't been exposed to oxygen. But you can see it's an even color from edge to edge. As I leave it setting here for a couple minutes, you'll see that the color turns to a nice pink. On this side is the meat that I cooked at 160 degrees for 24 hours, and I didn't need to sear it. It already has a nice brown exterior. but it's very tender. I'll move it over here, and with the two forks, I'll shred it, and you can see how nicely it shreds. Back over the cutting board, and you can see how nice this looks. You can see that it's still moist and tender and is very easy to shred. The beef that is cooked at the medium rare temperature, you can see this becomes slightly more pink. Over here, I finished shredding the beef, and it's time to add your favorite barbecue sauce and enjoy.